the details of that.
A peaceful electoral process devoid of tension, animosity and violence is a dream of the Edo populace and the Benin throne.
Please, we are begging you. We are begging. Let there be peace and quiet in Edo State.
This is resonating as the people of Edo are applauding the Oba of Benin, His Royal Majesty Oba Eware II, for initiating the peace process to end rising political tension and violence in the state.
We are doing our bit internally, traditional prayers to avoid violence, to avoid this and so on and so forth, to bring peace and tranquility to your hearts, to your minds, so that we can all rest properly.
The Oba has played a very awesome role because if you listen to him very carefully, he wasn't partisan at any point. We have seen in Edo State, in Benin City to be precise, the capital, how peace have reigned.
As a father, he played a good role. And he don't want war for your land. And no one shed blood for your land. And we Benin, we don't want war. We need peace.
It was a major investment in the peace of Edo State, a really royal initiative, and the value of that conference will go beyond even the election.
The chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, also led his team to the palace of the Oba of Benin to seek his blessings for a peaceful exercise while recognizing the importance of the traditional institution in peace building. The Oba re-emphasized the tenets of the Benin tradition in upholding her values reminiscent of peace, tranquility, and unity.
I appreciate the respect you gentlemen have shown to traditional institutions, to the Benin throne. The Nigerian that represent all the other Nigerians that are not here, all of them are with me to plead with politicians. Don't kill yourselves for office. Don't kill yourselves for vote. Stop these bitter statements to each other.
Candidates in the Edo governorship election affirm the commitment to a safe, free, and credible election at the signing of a peace accord powered by the National Peace Committee.
We, as a people, should aspire to see Nigeria where people feel safe to come out of their homes to cast their vote without any fear and need for police deployment.
The signing of the peace accord should not be seen as a mere ceremony. For me as a priest, I liken it to an exchange of vows.
The National Peace Committee has demonstrated that so much can be achieved in nation building by the force of moral rather than statutory authority.
How has this effort impacted the atmosphere in Edo and the people?
The Oba did well of calling them for them to unite. Let there be peace in Edo State.
Oba did the right thing to make peace, even Bible support.
Do your best, do your bit to calm down the temperature in Edo State. Calm down everywhere. Let there be peace. Let there be tranquility. This is my appeal. Let us have the kind of working relationship that President Buhari has with former President Jonathan. Between whoever comes to office. It's not a do or die affair.
Indeed, the voice of the Oba has echoed his intervention timely, as well as all those involved in the Edo Peace Pact in ensuring peaceful elections.
I don't want to hear shootings, guns anymore. Enough is enough. Don't want to kill yourselves because of office. Because office will be there, life will be there. Even if you don't win, there will be other things God has proposed for you. Maybe even greater things.
What else can I add to what he already said? I'll just borrow the words of Yoba. Calm down, Benin City. Calm down, Edo. Calm down, Nigeria. Oba Otokwe is saying, all right, with that, we move on to Ibadan and get to find out certain history. I saw that and read about it when I was in secondary school. And it will amaze you that Ibadan did a wonderful job. I never saw the visuals, really. I just read about them. But today, you and I are going to look at the visual of what I read in history books, the story, the history of politics, and political theory and all of that in Nigeria in the place of Operation Wetie. Don't ask me what it means. Find out.
For today to be in existence, they must have been past, and today gives way for the future. In view Nigerian political history, immediately after the independence in the 60s, it will be incomplete without talking about Operation Wetie, a violent protest that took place in western region of Nigeria between violent political factions and some members of the Nigerian National Democratic Party. This unpalatable act eventually opened the door to the first ever military coup in Nigeria.
Operation Wetie, which was limited to the front western region of Nigeria, came about because majority of voters particularly felt cheated that their votes had not counted. The results announced by the electoral body showed that the ruling party, Nigerian National Democratic Party, NNDP, of the Premier, Chief Samuel Ladoke Akintola, had been declared the winner. And the major opposition, the Action Group Party, felt otherwise. The party members of Action Group and their supporters rioted against the results declared. And as you can take from the connotation, Wetie, it meant people buying petrol, spraying it on people, buildings, and other objects, and setting such things alight. And it led to serious losses of lives and properties.
The Operation Wetie came out of the hatred amongst the political groups during that time. That is, fighting for one post or the other. These people, they only think of their group or their self alone. And anybody who doesn't fall within that group, they mean to kill him, to ruin his life. That is why they use all sorts of things to see that the life of such person is ruined.
The scourge of Operation Wetie, which ravaged the nation at that time of our developmental stage as a growing, newly independent country, had great impact on our political development.
It has really affected the political system of Nigeria. That was when we had the first military coup, which was an aberration, of course. The first military coup. That was the taste of power by the military, which made it to come one time after the other.
People of the same family, but once they go into parties, they hate themselves. Love yourself as others. There is no love, and it is going on like that. It is extending, and that is why there is no development. If I hate you, I will not think of your betterment, your progress.
For a nation to stand firmly and look forward to progress in every area of national development, learning from the past mistakes and ability to find solutions to them must be of priority.
Politicians should think of Nigeria first, not about the office. A lot of people will do or die just to assume that office. they are ready to kill meme. So when you kill people, when you allow people to die due to violence, who are those people you intend to govern or rule?
Let there be fairness. Let elections be free and fair. Let the organizing body, electoral body, declare the true winners, and let the opposition and their sympathizers accept the result.
To avoid a reoccurrence of the unwanted past experience, we need to exhibit unconditional love towards one another and come together as an indivisible entity for our nation to be lifted to greater heights.
All right, politics and politicians and, of course, the populace in Nigeria. It's almost the same trend across all other countries. But one question I often ask, and I know is on the lips of a lot of people as well, is the ideology the political parties have. I sometimes get confused. I'm not a politician, but then NTA, ETV, they did a good job. Try to educate me a little bit. Let me see it, and I'm sure you will also enjoy it.
Political parties are makers of democracy, and neither democracy nor democratic institutions are thinkable without political parties. Sequentially, the functions of political parties cannot be overemphasized. In fact, they are not just serving as a platform for electing public office holders, but also performing the roles of opposition as well as watchdog to the government of the day. Invariably, with the many functions of political parties, it is very important to highlight that there is no political party without an ideology. For political ideology is a crucial aspect of politics. It does not only serve as a cognitive structure of looking at society generally, but also serve as a guide to individual action and judgment. At the long run, the success of any political party is determined by the degree of its political ideology. One would easily pose the question, does Nigeria's political parties still have ideologies at all?
A country that practices democratic system, but that does not have political ideology, is a mere geographical expression. That's what Obafemi Awolowo called it. In Nigeria, parties never evolved. They were created, they were formulated, they were fabricated. And that fabrication was essentially along ethno-religious and primordial lines.
And as long as our politics are founded on the principles of the ethnic, the tribal, the psycho-spiritual, and the psycho-religious, we will continue to have politics that is played with zero ideology in our country.
Inarguably, political party is a fundamental institution in the actualization of democratic regime, and the major concern of the day is to examine the extent to which political parties in Nigeria contribute to the consolidation of over-nonsense democracy through ideological disposition.
Definitely, if we're having a democracy that runs on zero ideology basis, it definitely will translate into poor economics, and when that occurs, you begin to find that we have inhibitors here and there that stifle our attempt at political development, most importantly at economic growth and at economic development.
The word poverty ideology has been spreading in Nigeria like hurricane since the inception of the Fourth Republic, when individuals that make up parties' ideology become a mirage. Nigerian political parties have many similarities than differences. The only visible difference is their names. It is sad. We lack the opportunity to vote in terms of party ideology. Rather, we vote for the personalities.
What we need to do is to come together as a people and restructure our thinking, our mentality, restructure our ethics, restructure our vision as a people, and then we can begin to play politics on the basis of ideology, not politics on the basis of economics or politics on the basis of resources or politics on the basis of population strength or ethnic bias and ethnic strength.
Lack of political ideology by parties plying the Nigerian political roots have denied the country serious gratifications which can help in the development of a democratic infrastructure and consolidation.
If we must solve the problem, we must adapt to the new dimensions in the world. And to do that, Nigeria must first arrive at strong hegemony as a nation. For without hegemony, without hegemonic order, it is difficult, if not impossible, to even improvise ideology, let alone having one.
So there's a huge need for the government to enrich the content of politics and as such, help in the development of the country.
All right, we learn every day, and ideology, political parties, I'm sure you grabbed one or two. I did. Now, I did a few things within the week. By the way, Edo decides will be coming up not too long after now, and Nnamdi is in Edo State as we speak. In a little while, we'll be joining him to find out how prepared they are and what is going on there. But before then, I started by telling you that I did a few things within the week. In preparation for today, I was in Minna, and guess what? I went to visit one of the political leaders in Nigeria, particularly in that state. I had a conversation with him. I'm speaking of the former governor of Niger State, Muazu Babangida Aliyu. Let's see what was the conversation all about. Let me give it to you. Let's say it together. Nice to have you with me in this space. This is my space, even though it's in Niger State, Minna precisely, and I'll be having a wonderful chat with a leader, a father, someone who I can call very, authoritatively a seasoned civil servant, a seasoned political leader, a man who at a point was the honorable member for the Chaga constituency here in Niger State, and for 2 times running the governor of the same state, the father of the state, the chief servant of the state. Join me as I welcome Dr. Muazu Aliyu Babangida.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
And I know you're popularly known as a Talba. When I was coming here, once I mentioned Talba, the road was open for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. As a political leader, I was trying to follow you up at a point. I know you have been in this business of politics as early as 1983. I don't know, that's what I read about. I don't know when you actually had the interest. It's a long time coming, and Niger State was created again in 1976. It's also a long time coming. Do you think, as Nigeria clocks 60, we have fared well? Or in your own assessment, how well have we fared, politically speaking?
I think by the standard that sometimes we make a mistake in comparing apples and oranges. If you pick developed democracies and you compare with Nigeria, yes, you will think that we're down there. But if you compare with those that we have either come up together or those who, you will see that we have done exceedingly well. Because at least for the 60 years, we have been able to keep what other people call geographic expression. Yes, there are places where we could have done better. We could have started building a nation properly so that people think first Nigerian before thinking of Abriba or Mina. So in that direction, we need a lot to do as we get along. 1960 to date, Nigeria has done very well. Like I said, the perimeters of judgment should not be with the US or with Britain or with Europe and other countries, but with, for example, pick African countries that probably got independence at the same time that we did, and also pick in the Asian countries, some of them. Yes, if you pick Singapore, if you pick Malaysia, you might still think that we are not doing well, but it's because we have not gone down. The way people sometimes hear news, they simply hear, oh, this country has done this, therefore they have developed. I think we must be careful about that kind of judgment. What are those things that we can improve upon? Unfortunately, it was the 60 years, that's when we begin to experience insecurity, level of poverty really becoming an issue, and also our education system virtually, like you can say, collapsing. So those are the areas that I think that our infrastructure, we talked with you now about the road from Abuja to Mina, which normally should not be more than an hour drive. But now it takes you about 3 hours to get to Mina. Now, when you look at, and then
3 hours of pain.
Our rail lines and co, and even our flights are problematic. But I think, on the whole, for me, I used to be very critical, but after you get to some stage, I think, in life, you begin to see things slightly differently. You don't have to be shouting and abusing everybody just to become radical. No. Look at things objectively and see what we can do. Where do we need improvement in our understanding of democracy? If 20 years now of our democracy, we're still complaining, we're still talking of rigging and co, I think we have a problem.
All right, sir. You are well established as a political leader, not just in Niger State, but the entire Nigeria. And I want you to, stay in your standpoint. Like you mentioned earlier, you get to a certain, perimeter in life, and you cease to be that judgmental. But the public, the masses, are still very judgmental.
They are, because we are all the ones suffering at the end of the policies that are coming up. So I'm not saying don't judge. I'm saying be careful how you judge and make sure you have your evidence right. Many people jump to conclusions without getting the actual issues and evidence at their disposal.
I still want to take it back to the issue of leadership, because politics, I say, it's in human nature. Everyone is a political animal. Exactly. And sometimes you play your game by just simply going to the voting booth to vote. Now, there is great political apathy in the mindset of a populace. And a lot of them, they have blamed on lack of ideology and purpose on the side of the people on the other side of the divide, as the leaders. You were once there. Now, what do you think? Do you think there's a genuine sense of purpose or integrity or ideology in the mindset of a political leader? Or is it more of a self-aggrandizement?
I think we tend to think of ideology in terms of isms. The ideology that we have had so far from the First Republic to the Second Republic to now is what we call mixed economy. So I don't know how you can define it in terms of ism, but in terms of grading from left to right, you can say probably the middle of left to right, I think what the apathy that is coming is that the expectations of the people have not been met. Or in the discussion, in the campaign and other discussions that we do with the people, we tend to raise their expectations higher than we can deliver. And many people only talk about politics during the campaigns. Immediately they get there, they forget the main issues that they will have had. Now that is where ideology will have been very good, because once you have that and people really buy in and they vote you because of that, then that will ginger you and your party to make sure that you deliver what people expect of you. But in a situation where all the parties are virtually the same, and I have one particular problem, particularly in Nigeria, where politicians have been turned into prostitutes, where our constitution should be amended to say that if you are elected today on this particular platform, this particular party, you have no right to jump to another political party before the expiration of your tenure. Meaning, if you are voted as a governor, you have no right to jump to another party until you resign that particular tenure or office before you go to another party.
So as a political leader, a lot of people look up to you. Elections are on the way. Elections are happening even as we speak. Elections will still happen. What would you, speak? How would you advise people on money politics? Like you mentioned earlier, it always happens.
Look, if you collect my money during campaign and that you think I must give you something before you even listen to me, it means I have bought that period from you.
Simple.
People give small salt, rice. I'm not sure even politicians whether they can give rice now, given the price of rice. Now, if you collect, and I have seen where you go to villages or as we are driving along the road, everybody is asking you for money. Now, a vicious cycle has been created. Do they do that because they know when you get there you will not deliver, so pay me now? Or is it because you pay them that you don't do well? We need to break that vicious cycle so that we can get somewhere.
Casting your mind back, would you say that you have some regrets? Like they'll ask us, women, did you forget anything in the labor room? Did you forget anything? Are there things you'd want to change, really?
Probably some of the ideas that I started, I wish I pushed them as strongly as I should have done. Probably the changes that will have reflected will be more than what we have seen. To some extent, regret in life is normal because it's always looking back and say, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that. But that is beside the point. For me, I am very happy that it is after the fact. When I was there, trying to make some changes, people were not too happy. If I remember, I hear more of abuse than praise. That it was after I left that, lucky for me, every day, every moment, I hear people praying for me, I hear people praising me, and sometimes I even don't go certain areas because of that kind of a thing. Because when they look back, they say, oh, he has done very well.
You tell me that people appreciate what you did by way of, praising you or greeting you whenever they see you. On your own part, can you beat your chest and say, yes, I did well?
So far, so good. If I were, as a teacher, I can give myself 70%.
Okay, that's an A, right?
Unfortunately, I'm a very conservative because even as a teacher, I'm very strict, so 70%.
Okay, so I'll let that be. A lot of times, you mentioned my next question earlier on in the course of your talk. When politicians are campaigning, their mandates are, quite enormous, and they sound very convincing. But again, in there, is there something, I don't want to talk about white elephant project or something, but what is it that makes them, renege back on fulfilling their promises?
The reality.
Because for us here, we look at it as a loss of integrity.
The reality downs on people or the politicians. One, the funding.
Funding?
Yeah, until recently.
Do they not study the environment before going in?
Many people do not. The ambition takes over to win election. The party is also interested in winning election. Up to today, we are not scientifically ready to study issues before we get into them. I will have thought that anybody who wants to be in government house for 4 years should be able to itemize the 52 weeks in a year to say, this is what will happen every week. And you also, as you itemize the issue, you also see the funding of it. But many people, believe me, don't do that. So when they enter the government house, the reality dawns on them that, look, we don't have this. That's why in those days you will hear in some states, salary is not paid for 7 months and co. But here in Niger State, up to the month of May that I left government, we paid our salary by the 25th, letters by the 25th of every month. Again, maybe because I was a civil servant who respects salary, because many of them have nothing else to do but that salary that they are waiting for. Another aspect that people don't pay attention to is the security situation of their people. If you look at our Constitution, the Constitution is specific. The first government function is to secure the lives and property of the people. You can't talk about welfare in an insecure environment.
Definitely.
So, for me, being proactive means you don't wait until something happens. Somebody will tell you, oh, security agencies sometimes can lie to get money. Lie and get money so long as whatever you said will happen does not happen. I had a situation here, and I was also very happy. At the time I did it, 2 newspapers even wrote editorial accusing me of dismantling a religious group and what have you. But recently, the same newspapers, I saw them praising me for what I did because it now happened in another environment different. I had some people in one local government, just very few of them came to, said they came to worship and do some work, about 9 of them, in 1991. By 2007, they had reached a figure of above 4,000. And they had become a menace in the environment, abducting, kidnapping women and everything, and they created their own environment to say that was where Islam was all about. All others outside that environment were not Muslims. And when I did a census, I discovered up to about 80% were non-Nigerians. And Shekau and Abu Kaka were there in that place. So I got the support of the federal government. We paid them compensation, including even what they planted, and moved them out. I called all my colleagues, governors. I was then chairman at Northern Governors Forum, so it was easy for me to communicate. I said, I am sending these people, they claim they are from your state. Don't allow them to congregate in one place. Many of the governors abused me too. I didn't care. I wanted the security of my people. Now suddenly, I don't know if you have read it, but in Nasarawa, the same group with the same name congregated in the border between Nasarawa and Kogi. And I understand many people were killed before about 1,000 or something were liberated from that place.
It's unfortunate.
Now, I made sure I had some local government that has this forest of Zamfara, Kaduna access. I had this local government, Munya, Shiroro, Rafi, and Mariga, that are bordering from Zamfara up to Kaduna. And it used to be really problematic. So what I did was to make sure I stationed in every place soldiers, police, and SSS, and the civil defense. And I rented helicopters that were going around. Any group of people they saw, they would drop there and find out who they were. And I had a peaceful environment, very secure.
Very good.
You know, so you need to be proactive. You need to read your security reports. You need to relate properly with the security agencies. Now, why did I go into these details? Again, the funding, the reality, because sometimes security issues are not the normal issues that really crop up. They crop up sometimes suddenly.
Isn't there why there is a security fund separate?
There is a security fund that you budget for. But depending on the nature, because your assumption is that things will be normal.
Okay.
So you normally budget not what you expected. We used to have something that we disregard today. Our traditional institutions used to be a good intelligence gathering agency. I remember when I was here in Mina, when whoever came to town had to go through some dynamics of interview and what have you. And through the interview, sometimes you will be told to go to that particular area. We had then Nasarawa, Limawa, and then it later developed into this and what that and things like that. But any guest or any stranger that arrives in Mina has to report to a particular place. And the Angoas, that's the area heads, anybody who comes into that area will report to them. So they know who has come, and they know who he is, and they will also report to their village head, to their district head, up to the emir. So everybody knows what is happening, who are the guests. I remember I used to wonder when I was younger, even when thieves are coming to town, sometimes it's even announced.
Are you serious?
I'm telling you.
They're
It's
no longer
announced
thieves
that
now.
local so group are probably passing through the town. So that you take care of your thing. I also remember that when things get lost, even in the market, they are brought to a particular place. So people in Mina here know where they could go and get their things.
Community
But all these
policing,
things has happened.
as community policing, it didn't start today, and it has always been with us. Thank you so much. I wish I could chat more. I actually sat quietly because I'm feeling like this is my mentor talking to a mentee. Politics.